Okay, I thought I would do an update of what happened with the Alaska flight that was, well, the flight itself wasn't chaotic. The flight itself was very nice. But the experience, the airport, how to sum it up, it was like a 3 hour delay. All four if you count the earlier delay in the day. But early in the day, Alaska had said, well, texted, saying your flight's going to be delayed an hour. So no problem. It's going to go from like 8 to 9. And that was probably 7 hours earlier or something. So I had plenty of time to just get to the airport later. That part was fine. However, yeah, I got to the airport a little too late, a little too much traffic and parking, and then for whatever reason, I just lost all of my kind of safety buffer. And when I got to the security line, it was just, actually, it wasn't extremely long compared to sometimes, because usually it just has this wrapping around kind of zigzag effect. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was moving incredibly slowly. So I think I got there maybe 5 minutes before boarding, maybe 10 minutes before boarding, but all that time was used up in the line. The line was just not moving, or just barely. So at one point, yeah, the boarding had started, and I'm 5 minutes into boarding, and I just kind of like had saw someone. I thought he was gonna like make another line or something, but he just let someone go through for something. Anyway, I just talked to the guy, said, "Hey, look, I'm boarding. Can you get me up?" He's like, "Yeah, follow me." And so he got me up to the front of the line, sort of. There was still about 8 to 10 people in front of me, but it was this part where you start splitting off and going to the individual agents to check ID. However, it's like that was stuck. They weren't even like processing people, or they're just kind of waiting because the line was already so backed up that there was nowhere for them to go. So even if they allowed someone to go through, they'd still be stuck. So they just kind of stopped. And yeah, that was like terrible. Like all these lines were going towards one belt, one security belt. So it was just like, shoot. And I think it wasn't, I haven't seen it like that before, especially that late at night. So I think just there was like people not showing up, called in sick, whatever reason, they just couldn't open any more belts. So what had happened was finally another belt opened up, and at that point it really started moving. And even the people that were in front of me then, I just kind of said, "Oh, my flight's boarding, you mind if I moved up?" "Oh, yes, yes, go ahead." So people are really cool if you give them a chance. If you just kind of go insist on it, yeah, they're going to push back. But if you just say, "Hey, please," no problem. They were like happy to like help me out there, and I would be too if someone else. I'm totally down for that if you don't have a flight that you're late for. But anyway, I got through really quickly, and I just kind of ran to the gate, and I got to the gate, and they were in the final boarding group. They were getting on the plane. I kind of like got in, kind of took cuts there because it was priority boarding, first class. So got on the plane, and one of my big concerns was like, is there going to be a place for my bag? Because I was in the first row, and you can't put it under the seat, you have to put it above. And the whole thing was empty, like that first thing, because they often close it just because it's sort of first class, or maybe for the flight attendants. But I put my bag in, I sat down, everything's good, and then 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by. They're still waiting for people to board, which is not surprising because of the whole checkout, or that check-in issues. But finally, about, I don't know, 20 minutes later, they'd close the doors, they were ready for takeoff, cool, and then they were just waiting to do something, maybe some bags, okay, fine. And then finally they said, "All right, we got a maintenance issue, a light's on, so we're gonna have to or open up the door, have maintenance kind of come in and check it out." So, all right, so 10 minutes later, doors open. Someone comes in, I hear a conversation. 10 minutes later, they finally said, "Folks, yeah, we're gonna have to, I'm sorry, we have to get off the plane and get to another plane. Luckily, there's one waiting for us, so we're just gonna move to a different plane." And to me, that's fine. I kind of wanted it that way. It's like, if there's a maintenance light on, let's just not go on the plane at all. Not just turn off the light. That's not usually a good solution. I'll just turn off the light. So that was fine with me. And I didn't have a layover. There wasn't any huge reason why this was just going to mess up my life. So we got off the plane, and there wasn't really a plane waiting for us. It was a plane that was going to arrive. And so when I got over to the other gate, which is close by, I was actually the first because I got off the plane first and walked over. And they said, you might as well take a seat. This is still going to be a while. People have to get off the plane, and we have to prepare it. So, okay. And then, yeah, finally people start getting off the plane. So I guess it just landed there. And that usually takes a while. Flipping a plane or turning it around it does take about a half an hour. So I would say 40 minutes later, finally, they're like, okay, folks, same thing, and got back on the plane, same kind of seat. It was just a different plane. And they even did the boarding, the flight speech again. They always do that, if you get on a new plane. And finally, I would say about 2 or 3 hours after the original flight, maybe it was like 11 or something like that, or 12, I don't know. It was very late. We finally took off, and that was a good flight and got there. But the thing is, afterwards, there was no, during it, they had a couple texts come through, lots of announcements. They're pretty good about telling you what's going on. The text and maybe an email saying, we're sorry, and you can cancel this flight and get a full refund if you want, if it doesn't work for your plans anymore, which, okay. But there was no, we're sorry, we're going to do a $20 voucher. And even, I remember British Airways did something like that, maybe like a $50 voucher, because they said if it's over like 2 hours late or something, a 3-hour delay, that's what they do. But nothing. So it's just sort of like a little frustrating that, you caused a 3-hour delay or 4-hour delay, and there was no sort of, we're sorry about that, we're going to, do it, because it happens too much. I understand why. You just can't set a precedent for always kind of making amends for doing this kind of stuff. It's just part of the business. When you buy a ticket, they should probably make you check a box saying, we understand that, it could be delayed 4 hours and you're not going to get any compensation. So they don't want to start doing that, because even if they give like $25 a person, 100 people on the flight, that's like $2,500, and that's just, you're going to start losing all your money you're going to make for traveling, because it happens all the time. So I understand why they're not ever going to change that, but it would be cool if they did something. Just sort of, a follow-up email saying, again, we're really sorry. I don't know. Anyway, I'm kind of used to that. It's like the bottom line is they got me where I was going, so that's cool. And it was cool that they had another flight, because if they didn't, then they would just said come back tomorrow or something. Anyway, all right, that's it. Thought I'd give that. Cheers.